Ever wondered if a simple conversation could completely shift how you see the world? Today, you'll hear just how powerful opinions, advice, and persuasion can be in real-life IELTS speaking answers.
I'm Emma Collins, here for another IELTS speaking practice session, and I'll be the candidate today.
And I'm Jack Turner, your examiner. This episode brings you a realistic Band 8 IELTS speaking test on changing minds. Expect sharp vocabulary, genuine stories, and practical strategies you can use instantly.
We'll start with some interview questions, then move to the classic long-term story, a follow-up question, and a deeper Part 3 discussion. After that, we'll review key vocabulary and finish with a speaking tip you can use right away.
Let's get started. I'll play the examiner throughout and you'll hear Emma as the candidate. Ready for part 1?
Absolutely. Let's begin the mock interview.
Good morning. My name is Jack Turner. Can you tell me your full name, please?
Of course. My name is Emma Collins.
Thank you, Emma. Let's talk about opinions. Do you usually share your opinions with other people?
It depends on the situation. With close friends, I'm quite open because I know we can disagree without taking it personally. At work or with people I don't know very well, though, I tend to be a bit more careful about how I express myself.
Are you good at listening to other people's opinions?
I'd say so, although I'm not perfect at it. If I feel strongly about something, my first reaction can be to defend my point of view. But I've learnt to hear people out before responding because sometimes they raise a point I genuinely hadn't considered.
Have your opinions changed a lot as you've become older?
Definitely. When I was younger, I tended to see things in quite a black and white way. These days, I'm more aware that most issues are complicated, so I'm less quick to judge.
Do you often ask other people for advice?
Yes, especially when I'm making an important decision. I normally speak to 1 or 2 people whose judgment I trust, but I don't ask everyone because too many opinions can actually make me more confused.
Whose advice do you trust most?
Probably my older sister's. She's very level-headed, and she doesn't just tell me what I want to hear. Even when I disagree with her at first, I usually understand where she's coming from.
That's a strong example. Now, I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. You'll have 1 minute to prepare, and you can make some notes if you wish.
All right.
Describe a time when someone changed your opinion about something. You should say what your original opinion was, who changed your opinion, what they said or did, and explain why you eventually changed your mind. You have 1 minute to prepare. Okay, Emma, please begin.
I'm going to talk about a time when a friend completely changed my attitude towards working from cafés. I used to think it was a terrible idea. I assumed cafés were far too distracting because there are people talking, music playing, coffee machines making noise, and people constantly coming and going. So, in my mind, serious work had to be done somewhere completely quiet. A friend of mine, Sarah, had a very different view. She often worked from a small cafe near her flat, and one day she suggested that I join her because I'd been struggling to concentrate at home. At first, I was pretty skeptical. I thought I'd last about 20 minutes before getting distracted, but she explained that the background activity actually helped her focus because it prevented her from checking her phone or doing household chores. So I decided to give it a shot. To my surprise, I was incredibly productive. There was a bit of background noise, obviously, but after a while it just faded into the background. I managed to finish a task I'd been putting off for several days. What changed my mind wasn't really her argument alone. It was experiencing it for myself. I realised I'd formed quite a strong opinion without actually testing it. Since then, I occasionally work from cafes when I need a change of scenery. I still wouldn't do it every day, but I'm much more open-minded about it now. So, yes, that experience taught me that sometimes it's worth challenging your own assumptions rather than automatically sticking to them.
Do you still work from that cafe?
Occasionally, yes. I probably go there once or twice a month, especially if I've been working from home for several days and need a change of atmosphere. I suppose the bigger lesson for me was that actually trying something can be more convincing than simply debating it.
Let's discuss this topic in a more general way. Why are some people unwilling to change their opinions?
I think one reason is that people often connect their opinions with their identity. So if someone challenges what they believe, it can almost feel like a personal attack. There's also pride involved. Admitting you were wrong isn't always easy, particularly if you've defended the same view for years.
Do you think young people are more open-minded than older people?
Not necessarily. Younger people may be exposed to newer ideas and different cultures online, which can make them more flexible. On the other hand, social media can also put people into bubbles where they mainly hear opinions similar to their own. So I think open-mindedness depends more on personality and experience than age.
Is it easier to persuade someone using facts or personal stories?
Ideally, you need both. Facts give an argument credibility, whereas stories make it relatable. For example, statistics about road safety might be convincing intellectually, but hearing about someone personally affected by an accident can have a much stronger emotional impact.
Should people always listen to advice from experts?
They should take expert advice seriously, but I wouldn't say they should follow it blindly. Experts usually have knowledge that the average person doesn't have, but people still need to consider their own circumstances. The key, I think, is knowing the difference between questioning advice thoughtfully and rejecting expertise simply because you dislike the answer.
Why do people sometimes give advice even when nobody asks for it?
Well, sometimes it comes from a good place. People genuinely want to help. But occasionally, giving advice makes someone feel knowledgeable or important. The problem is that unsolicited advice can come across as judgmental, especially if the person giving it doesn't fully understand the situation.
In the future, do you think technology will have more influence over people's opinions?
Almost certainly. Recommendation algorithms already influence what news, videos, products, and opinions people encounter. In the future, AI-generated content could make that influence even stronger. The positive side is that people may have access to a wider range of information, but the risk is that it may become harder to distinguish balanced information from content designed specifically to persuade us.
Very good. That concludes the speaking test. Let's review 4 useful expressions from today's test. First, hear someone out. Emma, what does that mean?
It means listening to someone until they've fully explained their opinion before you respond. For example, I disagreed with him initially, but I decided to hear him out.
Excellent. Repeat, hear someone out. Next we had level-headed.
Someone who is level-headed, stays calm, and makes sensible decisions, especially in difficult situations. You could say, I usually ask my sister for advice because she's very level-headed.
Good. Our third phrase is give it a shot.
That simply means to try something, even if you're not sure whether it will work. For example, I'd never worked in a cafe before, but I decided to give it a shot.
And finally, stick to your opinion.
That means continuing to believe or support the same view. For example, some people stick to their opinions even when they're presented with new evidence.
In IELTS Speaking Part 3, avoid stopping after phrases like I agree or I disagree. Build your answer in 3 stages. State your view, explain why, then give an example or contrast.
So instead of saying, yes, experts are important, I could say, yes, I think expert advice should be taken seriously because specialists have knowledge most people don't have. However, individuals still need to consider their own circumstances.
Exactly. That extra development improves your fluency and coherence while giving you more opportunities to demonstrate vocabulary and grammatical range. Thanks for joining our IELTS mock test today.
If you want to boost your speaking score, try answering today's questions yourself and practice using the vocabulary we reviewed. See you next time for more real IELTS practice.